Ready to go?
Okay, well, thank you for taking the time to talk to me first. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
I was just wondering why you sort of felt it was important to come along to the annual sitting. What is your real drive to kind of get involved with this?
Yeah, well, you know, this whole experiment that we made up 6 years ago, I'm not doing it because I'm bored. You know, I'm doing it because we have a duty towards you guys. And my generation and generations before me have kind of made a bit of a mess of things, really. And, you know, you can either drink a lot of gin and get really upset about that, or you can roll your sleeves up and say, what am I going to do? What can I do? No matter how small it is, it doesn't matter. What can I do? And this is my little bit of what I can do. You know, and the truth is, sometimes you set off and you go all over the place, and it's a privilege to be able to meet so many different people from all over the world. But there are moments when, before you kind of like actually meet them, you might be tired, you might have had a long journey or whatever, and you think, oh God, you know, and then you come through a door, and then you meet people, young people, old people, you know, just people like us, and it's obvious why we do it. We do it because we connect, and we do it because it's our little bit of history.
I'm sure it's a sentiment that a lot of people who you're about to meet will be engaging with. I mean, I think a lot of young people really do feel it's important to kind of leave their legacy and really sort of make a difference in the community they live in.
Yeah.
In terms of kind of obviously the social innovation that you've been doing, what do you think is the sort of the global importance of social entrepreneurship?
Well, you know, it's interesting. A long, long time ago, when people old like me remember the Rio Earth Summit, okay, and I was doing local government stuff and whatever at that time, 21 years ago now, and you know, they all met there and they all said wonderful things, and they were going to change the way they were going to do whatever they did and the resources they used and so on. And then they did absolutely nothing whatsoever except pass some policies and whatever. And I'm being a bit unkind there, but you know, it just, the wheels of the way that yesterday used to do things grind so slowly, you know, and you're dead for such a long time, you might as well find an alternative approach, really. So for me, I've seen a lot of policy stuff, a lot of papers, a lot of strategies, and what we need is actions, and we need a lot of little small actions that will all come together, because you can't rely on technology to get you out of the problem. The problem is a behaviour problem, and everybody can think about the way they live, but you know, it's really quite difficult to know where to start. How do you find the end of that thread? It's really, really difficult. I'm not interested. I always say this. It's not that I'm not interested. I do care about people who read The Guardian and what have you. You know, I think that's great. But I think they have an idea of what they might be able to do. But for a lot of people who don't, you know, think a lot necessarily about these issues, but who care passionately about their children, you know, wherever they are, whatever continent they're on, how are they going to start? You know, why would they have to have a degree in something, or a debate about peak oil, or whatever, before they actually start to feel that they can give their children a better future? So that's why we do it. That, you know, so that therefore the implication of starting with food is the very simple one that everybody eats, God willing, you know, or buys, or likes, or doesn't like, or whatever it is, but food's a universal language. And for me, that's the global importance of what we do. It's not any smart aleck, really big, wham bam, let's have a great big celebration policy document. It's the belief in small actions, and it's the belief that every single person on this planet has the potential to be totally magnificent if they're just given half a chance. That's all there is to it, really.
Fantastic. So obviously it's really important as well, carrying on with that, that obviously the next generation do kind of take that belief and make sure they do go out and make a difference. How do you think we can inspire them to do that? How would you aim to inspire them to do that?
I think that, you know, well, you know, it's really quite difficult to try and, first of all, not generalise, and secondly, not to sound incredibly arrogant, you know. So I can only tell you what I think is my little bit of the jigsaw. That's all I can say. And my experience is that, you know, people are like a coiled spring. They want to do something, but they don't know where to start. You know, and we have a terrible disease of cynicism, you know, and distrust, coupled with the plague of victimisation and the need to have a check before you start. You know, and I think, for me, young people are fresh enough to just know that they can do it given half a chance. You know, and I would just ask, don't judge your elders too harshly. You know, we didn't actually mean to kill you. You know, the fact that we have lived our lives in such a way that anybody from Mars would assume that was what we tried to do. You know, I go all over the place, and And people, the light goes on in their eyes. They don't want to be negative. They don't want to spend their lives feeling there's no hope. That with hope we can fly, you know. And so for me, young people are just ready to lead, you know. So don't judge us too harshly. Help us to do something that will make a difference to your lives. Walk with us on this one, but also remember the power of the future. It is in your hands if you believe it. Whatever that might be, whether that's about soil scientists and really believing that we can feed the planet without going bonkers on GM, you know, all these things are possible if we work with the younger generation. Time has not completely slipped out of our hands. We have to believe that, or else we wouldn't bother getting up in the morning. So it's over to you guys, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm sure with initiatives like WorldMerit, which I'm an ambassador for, and with the Youth Parliament, we are actually driving young people towards that kind of involvement with what they really passionately believe in.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, actually, over the course of your life and the work that you've done, what has been your big year?
Oh, God. Well, the biggest thing I've ever done is this. It's really simple. And I think it's a really weird thing, and I don't want it to sound very cosmic, but, you know, I've done a lot of different things. But every single bit was another skill set needed in order to have the bottle to do this. So I think the moment that this popped into my head 6 years ago, that was probably a big year. And since then, every time, you know, I just see the light in people's eyes, that'll do for me. So there's lots of great things, like, you know, I have a daughter and a family and whatever. I think probably the biggest year was that moment when I just thought, it's time to change. That's big for me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for taking the time to answer my questions.
It's my pleasure.
I really appreciate it, and I do look forward to hearing your speech later on. I'm sure you're going to go on to inspire a lot of people.
Well, it's all very scary, actually, but I'll give it a shot. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.